Hey everyone, Melissa here. So happy to be back with you on the Hip Kit Club YouTube channel today for main kit only Thursday. And on these days we can use the main kit and the cardstock kit, or the Pocket Life kit and the cardstock kit. I'm using the main kit. I always love to make a layout with the main kit only, especially to show you that there is actually a lot you can do. You don't need everything. Yeah, so I have this photo of Brielle. I think it's from 2018 or 2019. It's a photo I took in our spring. So our spring is in September, that's when it starts. And there's a cherry tree with beautiful blossoms, and these blossoms don't last very long. And this was outside a cafe, and I just had to take a photo of Ava next to the tree. And so what I have are some papers here, this beautiful exclusive Hip Kit heartfelt cross my heart paper, and off camera, just to speed this up, I have fussy cut out some of the hearts. Some of them are like single hearts, others are double hearts, and I've got a few blue ones, but most of them are different shades of pink. I've also got this paper here, which is beautiful. It's got the wood grain on the B side. And from the cardstock kit, I have got this piece of pink cardstock. Actually, I better bring this over. I've also got this Simple Stories Hello Today cut apart sheet, and I'm wondering whether I use maybe that. I think that's all I'm going to use from that sheet. And then the assignment today is to create a layout on the diagonal with the stitching in the background, or on the background. And so what I've done is machine stitched lines that they're not perfect, and they're not even probably positioned very perfectly, but they're on the diagonal, just 3 different colours. So I've got white, a dark pink, and a lighter pink. So it's just given some messy texture in the background, and I'm thinking I'm going to place my photo probably here and use this cardstock. It's like a border like that, I think. Yeah, so you got to remember when you use this cardstock that it's got the branding strip on it. So to get it to 12 by 12, you need to trim that off. But it'll look something like that. Yeah, just for a bit of interest in the background. And it might also help, because if I place the borders at the top, it's going to help me even up what I've got going on with kind of uneven stitching. I'm not bothered by it too much because I'm going to embellish over the top, but my thoughts are to maybe have these coming down like that. And I quite like the fact I didn't stitch them into the pattern. So that's my plan for embellishments. I've got the Some Days Enamel Dots from Pinkfresh, and from the same collection, the floral, I call it floral ephemera. It's an elements pack. It's got lemons and lots of florals in it. And I've also got from the same collection the Chipboard Flair. I always love these, they're beautiful. And I adore Simple Stories chipboard. So that those are all the embellishments from the main kit. There are some alphas as well, but I'm wondering, I quite like that Beauty in the Everyday for a title. So I might try and get a title out of these. I know a lot of people have used the word life. I'm not sure. I don't think it's going to work for this. I think it's too big. But anyway, that's my plan. I'll probably use some butterflies and maybe some of these florals as well. Yeah, so let's get started. So the first thing I needed to do was distress a couple of the edges of this white cardstock, the 2 edges that I don't plan on trimming off, and then I had to work out where to place the cardstock and which parts I will be trimming off. So I decided to go with the textured side of the pink cardstock because I don't use that side very often, and I just thought it added a little bit of a different texture against the smooth white cardstock. And I tried to use my scissors to trim the edge of this, but I didn't glue right to the edge because I wanted to gut or keep some of the pink cardstock. So trimmer was the best way to trim it off, and yeah, just lining everything up. And you can see there that I haven't put my double-sided tape right to the edge, and I'm trimming that off. I've had some videos where I haven't done that, and if I'm using cardstock background, or sorry, a pattern paper background, I've had comments that people are shocked that I didn't gut the paper. But sometimes, honestly, I'm in the flow of creating and I don't think about it. And sometimes I need more stability behind my main piece of paper that I'm using for my background, especially if I've done mixed media. So I'm just using this piece here. It's got some circles punched from, I think, my first layout that I did with this kit, and I've torn the edge for a bit of difference. I haven't done that for a long time, and I do like the way that looks. And now I'm just using craft foam from our local craft shop. It's just from the children's section, and it's got adhesive backing on one side, and I just want to lift this photo up a bit so that I can tuck some things underneath it. So I'm having to put 2 types of adhesive, especially because I want to glue over the top of all that stitching. So before I went and glued that down, I realised that I better work out whether I'm going to use this cut apart card or not, and I am, so I really like how that's looking. Then I realised that I didn't distress the edges of my paper, and I love doing that, so I'm just being really careful with the wet glue and just adding a little bit of distressing on the edges. So I was just going to be lazy and just adhere this card, and then I thought, no, let's do something. I thought about maybe cutting out the heart with my knife, craft knife, and then popping it up, and I thought, no, let's just do some stitching. I thought about adding red thread, and then I thought, no, I just love the crispness of white thread, and I think I've got enough going on in my background with the 2 shades of pink that I've stitched anyway. So I'm not going to show you all of this, but you get the point. Just a simple back stitch, and I'm using all 6 skeins of the thread. And then I've realised that because my photo is a square and this is a 3x4, it was a bit big, and I want as much of that machine stitching to show as possible on the diagonal. So I've just trimmed that card down. And then I had all these fussy cut hearts that I showed you at the beginning of my video, and I'm just going through now and using some dimensional adhesive. I've got 2 different sizes of dimensional adhesive, larger ones and small ones, and just using a mix of them to get these hearts popped up. And I love how they look. And I think I said at the beginning of my video, possibly, that I wasn't going to stitch through them. I think they would look cute stitched through. You wouldn't use dimensional adhesive, but yeah, they look cute as well. But I love this. So it's starting to come together now, and I think what makes this layout different or more interesting for me is the addition of the machine stitching in the background. And that's what I love about these design team assignments, is that I'm doing things that I wouldn't necessarily do, and I have for ages wanted to create a layout with textured stitching in the background, and I just think that mixing it up with coloured thread just adds so much to it as well. So normally, I'd be tempted to add some mixed media. That's not a requirement of this assignment though, but if you're not big on mixed media, there are other ways that you can add texture in your background, and stitching is one way you can. I could have done this all in white for a more subtle effect, but I just love the pops of pink. So it's looking kind of like a Valentine's Day layout, and this is the February kit, and as we know, Valentine's Day is in February, but I still think it looks really cute as a spring kind of layout. And now I'm moving on to doing a bit more of the embellishing. And like I said at the beginning, I wanted a title that was going to be easy, and I wanted to use a chipboard title. And so I'm so happy that this beauty in the everyday works out so well for these cherry tree blossoms and Ava. So there's 3 chipboard butterflies, and I really, really wanted to get them onto this page. My 6-year-old daughter Brielle is not going to be happy when she sees this layout though, because she likes to claim all the butterflies for her, but in this instance I am giving them to Ava. So I'm just wanting to add a bit more texture with different embellishments. These chipboard flare from Pinkfresh are beautiful. I managed to get 2 on the page, I think, and then I use another Simple Stories round chipboard piece, which also looks like flare. So it just looks like I've used 3 of them, although the Simple Stories one I think is slightly smaller. So now I'm going through these floral pieces from Pinkfresh, and I'm wanting to select the pink ones. Now, when I started this, I did not intend for this to be a monochromatic layout. It kind of is, like there's a lot of pink on it, but it's also got pops of slightly green for the title, and also the green on the leaves. So I think it works well. Now, I love that these florals are singular florals or different clusters of florals and even lines of florals, and there's even a wreath. So I love that you can totally mix it up. And because I'm only using pink, I'm going to get a totally different look than if I just used any of the coloured florals in that pack. So I'm not wanting to take away from Ava in the photo. She's quite small in the photo. She's quite small anyway, but I took this photo in the way that I wanted to see the cherry blossoms. So I'm not wanting to go overboard with embellishing on top of the photo. I was very, very careful not to do that. And I did struggle with this large floral piece, and then I thought, because I've so heavily distressed the edges, let's lift them up a bit more and tuck that floral piece, cut it in half and tuck it underneath on the edge of those two borders. And I think it looks really awesome. Like, sound like I'm boasting of myself, but I'm really happy with how it looks, and I'll definitely do that again. So then I had this butterfly that is not pink. It's that same sort of green colour, and I did struggle with where to put it, but I decided to kind of cluster it with that chipboard title as well, and I think it just adds a little pop of green on that card, and I think it works quite well with the leaves and all those floral pieces. So I was looking at those chipboard pieces again and wanted to find something that was going to work, and I think those two leaves on that white chipboard piece look really, really sweet. And then it was time to add my journaling. I've just nestled it underneath the torn edge of my photo mat and in a part where there is no stitching, and I think it looks really good just fitting within my design. So my challenge or my assignment was to have a diagonal design with stitching in the background, and even though my journaling kind of takes away from the diagonal design, I still think the intention of that way of designing is still seen. I'm sorry. I must sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've had a really, really massive week with sick kids and a lot of work. So if I seem a bit spaced out, that is why. It's also quite late here, but anyway. Adding a few more chipboard pieces, the hearts and that third kind of chipboard flare piece, like I said. Loving how this is looking. Definitely had to add this little coffee cup because this is outside a cafe and we'd gone out for a coffee and treat for the morning. So that is my final layout. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave any questions in the comments below and I will endeavour to get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, I hope that you continue to post your layouts and creations in the HipKit Facebook group, and also follow the link below to become a subscriber. Thank you so much for watching.